I'm teaching you how to make my favorite cookie macarons. These macarons are made using an Italian style meringue, and then the inside is a cookie dough buttercream. And then we can't forget our decorations. We're gonna use some mini chocolate chips to make a super cute decoration for these macarons. Whether you're a macaron baking expert or you're just a beginner, don't worry, I'll walk you through all the steps and stages of making the macarons and the buttercream. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in our macaron baking series. Before we can begin baking, we have to do some prep work. Separate your egg whites from your egg yolks and then allow the egg whites to come to room temperature. Egg whites foam best at room temperature around 70 to 80 degrees, which is why this step is necessary. If you'd like, you can also age your egg whites. This helps some of the excess moisture evaporate. Place a piece of plastic wrap over the egg whites and then poke a couple holes with a knife. Then you'll place these into the refrigerator for 2 to 5 days before you want to bake. Next, weigh out all of your dry ingredients on a digital scale. This helps ensure that all of your measurements will be accurate. Once everything is weighed, it's time to sift the almond flour and confectioner's sugar together. You'll want to do this twice, and while you're doing this, discard any large pieces of almond flour that may cause your shells to be bumpy. Next, wipe down the stand mixer bowl and whisk attachment with a little white vinegar on a paper towel to remove any leftover oils. Fats interfere with the aeration of the egg whites and can ruin your meringue, which is why this step is so important. Next, grab a light colored sheet pan and print off a macaron template. I have a free template that you can print out. I'll link it in the description below. Then place that under a piece of parchment paper. Finally, it's time to prepare your piping bag. You can use either a 1/2 inch round piping tip or something a little bit smaller, which will give you some more control. Place the piping tip inside the bag and then push part of the side of the piping bag into the piping tip to ensure none of the batter leaks out. Set the bag inside a tall glass and pull the remaining top of the piping bag out over the glass. Next, it's time to make the Italian meringue. Add 105 grams of egg whites along with 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar to a stand mixer fitted with a whisk attachment. Whip on medium speed until the eggs are very foamy, right before soft peaks form. This usually takes about 6 or 7 minutes. While that's going, we're going to start on the sugar syrup. Add 150 grams of granulated sugar and 57 grams of water to a saucepan. Cook that over medium-high heat until it reaches 244 degrees Fahrenheit on a digital thermometer. Now that your egg whites are foamy, we're going to slowly start to drip the hot sugar syrup into the egg whites while the mixer is on medium-high speed, around 7 on a KitchenAid mixer. Be sure that the sugar runs down the bowl and doesn't hit the whisk attachment or it will splatter along the side of the mixing bowl. Do this process slowly so that the egg whites can heat up slowly and not too quickly. Then allow the Italian meringue to continue to whip for about 4 to 5 minutes until it reaches stiff peaks. Here's an example of soft peaks and medium peaks to help you see visually what each of these stages looks like and how they differ from stiff peaks. Once you get to stiff peaks, you'll notice a few signs. When you pull the whisk out of the mixer, a stiff peak should stand straight up with no curl at the tip. You'll also notice that the meringue starts to ball up inside the whisk while it's mixing. When you visually inspect the meringue, you can see pointy offshoots of egg whites in the bowl. And finally, you can fully flip the bowl over and nothing moves or falls out. Next, it's time to fold in our dry ingredients. We're using 144 grams of both almond flour and confectioner's sugar that have been sifted together. Gently fold these into the egg whites using a silicone spatula until all the meringue is fully incorporated and no dry bits remain. Then we're adding in 5 to 6 drops of gel food coloring. Make sure to use this rather than liquid, as liquid will add in too much moisture to the batter. Then begin working the batter until everything is fully incorporated. This is called the macaronage process. Slowly spread the mixture along the side of the bowl and then wipe it back down. Repeat this process until the mixture has reached a smooth, shiny, and flowy consistency. You can test that your macaron batter is ready by allowing it to drop off of your silicone spatula. It should be an almost lava-like consistency, and any ribbons that fall off should disappear back into the batter within about 10 to 15 seconds, but not immediately. Here's an example of over macaronage batter that's way too liquidy. You don't want to get to this stage. Next, transfer your macaron batter into the prepared piping bag. Pipe the batter onto the prepared baking sheet by holding the bag vertically and gently squeezing until the batter reaches 1.5 inches. This specific macaron template will allow you to pipe various sized macarons, and you can grab this template using the link in the description below if you're interested. Once the macarons have been piped, slam the baking sheet down on the counter a few times to release any air bubbles. This is an important step if you want to avoid cracked macarons. You can then pop any of the air bubbles that rose to the top using a toothpick. Then allow the macarons to sit on the counter to dry for about 45 to 60 minutes until a thin skin develops and you can touch the tops without ruining the macarons. It's important that you are allowing the macarons to fully dry before they're put into the oven. Then they can bake in a preheated oven for 19 to 23 minutes. While those are baking and cooling, it's time to make our cookie dough buttercream filling. First, we need to heat treat 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour by allowing it to bake for about 5 to 7 minutes until it reaches an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that's baked, allow it to cool, and then we're sifting that all-purpose flour along with 2 cups of confectioner's sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Set the sifted dry ingredients to the side and then add 1 cup of unsalted butter that has been softened to room temperature along with 3/4 cups of brown sugar to a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment. Beat everything together for about 2 minutes until it's light and fluffy. Then slowly add in the dry ingredients, about half a cup at a time, while the mixer is running on low speed. Continue to do this until everything is mixed together. Then you'll need to add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of half and half. Mix just until it's combined, and then bump the mixer up to medium-high speed and allow the frosting to whip together. This helps to dissolve the brown sugar so it's not gritty in the buttercream. Because we just whipped a bunch of air into it, we need to deflate the buttercream so that way it's not too hard to pipe. If you skip this step, you may have trouble piping because of the air bubbles that are in the buttercream. I like to use a 1/2 inch piping tip and pipe a dollop in the middle of the macaron as well as along the sides of the macaron. Place the matching shell on top of the buttercream, and then we're going to dip these into mini chocolate chips as a fun little decoration. These are one of my favorite macarons I've ever created, so I hope that you love them as much as I do. The full recipe along with tips and tricks will be linked in the description below.